know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start from the crowd, no mic. I walk down this path here. I can see how I can engage with the crowd. So let me build up the energy. So you kind of conjure up that energy to know, crowd, we're one.
Yeah.
Everyone has to be a part of it. Now, this goes back to the ancients. This goes back to how we used to do things where call and response is just part of what it is. So I just knew I needed to start with that kind of energy to make sure we get that impact.
What's happening? What is going on? My name is Yomi Shode. Welcome to Apples and Snakes, the podcast. I'm here. Producer Imen's here. Got Drew Hawley's here. And in what, for me, is a very special episode. This man needs no introduction. And also is a real full circle moment for me. So it is quite an emotional one to a certain degree as well. It's an absolute honor to introduce the one and only El Crisis.
Thank you, Yummy Greens. It's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Not many people know this story of my entry point. And this is why it's actually really important to say this not only to you, because you're more than aware of this story as well. So to a point, I had no idea about spoken word or the scene or performance poetry, not a clue. I was working as a youth worker in Southwark. And being a youth worker in Southwark, you get these different projects that you're sent, and then you're always asked to find a group of young people who might be interested in it. And this one was, it was a project called Slambassadors.
Oh, yes.
That was ran by a poet called Joel Taylor.
Yes.
No idea. Not the event or project, not the poet. And it was happy. And this was the, or they would say this was the Heats phase, because there was going to be an eventual one happening, right? And I was then tasked by my manager to find 4 or 5 young people who were MCs, or like they were interested in lyric writing or interested in what have you, just writing generally. And they were going to work with a mentor to create a group poem. You were that mentor. This was the first time I ever met you.
Yeah.
In that group is a poet that we now know as Caleb Femi.
Yes.
And I brought the group. They met you, and you worked with them in creating a group poem. And that's the first time I saw you just like show an example of what this can be. And I was like, what's going on? They created their group poem, they performed in the mayor's office, and they made it to the final of Slambassadors. This was the first time that I would ever see Joel perform. I'm not sure, I feel like I definitely saw you perform to kind of give that example as well. But if we're talking about a template or my entry point as to what this is, it's you. To get to this point where I'm now in, not only necessarily in this genre of writing or performance in spoken word and poetry, but to excel in the way that I have excelled over the years, that's never left me as a memory. And I want to thank you first and foremost for that, in that sense, because I don't think, and this is funny because I've not seen you in years.
It's true. No, I appreciate it.
And in the space of 2 days, I was seeing
literally just doing what we're meant to be doing.
So in me thinking about how best to start this as a memory for you, when it comes to a type of writing or musicality, what was that for you? When did that strike as you as something that you was interested in?
First of all, appreciation to you sharing that acknowledgement there. Yeah, it's good. It's great when people can do that, reflect back on where they started, because a lot of people actually, they think that they started from where they nearly became who they are. They don't go back far enough to see where the seeds were grown. So, or so and so. Thank you for that. For myself, it's very difficult to actually pinpoint a place where it actually started, because there's different parts along your journey as you grow. You become who you are in general. So it's not just a writer's thing, and it's not just a poet thing. It's not just a music thing. It's just who you are.
Yeah.
So you find that there's some things that shape you as you grow. That could be religion, that could be just your community, it could be whatever, the influences of what music you listen to, the influences of the people you put before to see. And myself, from a very early age, I used to listen to a lot of the music that my mum used to listen to, which was largely a lot to do with soul music, the greats from Otis Redding and Al Green and Marvin Gaye and Millie Jackson and all of these greats. And then there was the Bob Marley and the Burning Spear and the Dennis Brown and the reggae selection there. So I was well-rounded within cultural expressions of ourselves.
Yeah.
So you had, on one side, it's a lot to do with the trials and tribulations, the struggle, the liberation that needs to be seen and needs to be met, the political struggle that we're in, keeping your head up and resistance and making sure that you're forthright in achieving what you need to do, standing up in the Gideon, as they say, and burning down Babylon, So that side's there with me. And then there's also the soulful side, which is, the love and the appreciation of who we are as beings, and humanity, as we would call it, So this is what kind of shapes your not even your belief, your awareness. And then it begins to become something of you're good at rhyming.
Yeah.
So you just rhyme. But you realize that what you're rhyming is actually making sense here, I can just flow anything, and then basically the consciousness that you have is reflected within the rhyme. Yeah. So it's not the rhyme dictating anymore. It's who you are is coming through in the rhyme. So that's a distinction people need to also be aware of when they start this poetry or songwriting. It's really who you are that has to reflect, unless you're someone's just going to write it for you. To get to your point, though, sorry.
No. It's important.
All good? All right. So this is just the shaping of who you are. And then after a while, what happened in my life, I realized there's some parts of my family who were doing, expressing in a way where, they was expressing music in a way where I was too young to understand. I was very young, and I'm watching my uncles, or my in-laws now, my aunt's husband, sharing passionately, toasting, DJing around a turntable.
Yeah.
Everything was just a little record player back in them days there. And they were just, and just toasting, that kind of pattern that they had. They was doing the Yellow Man thing, they was doing the Uri thing, they was doing the Jamaican toasting, basically. And I would listen to this and just watch the passion that they had. And I was quiet. I'm a very introverted person anyway. So I don't get too involved in anything. I just stayed and I'm observing. You might be thinking I'm not enjoying it, but I'm like, wow, this is amazing, because I'm just reflecting. So I'm seeing my uncles there, and they're chanting and they're DJing and then one after the other, back and forth. I'm like, wow. And to be honest, I can only hold 2 memories of that, but it stayed with me. Then as growing a little further on, I noticed my cousins, who I had not known, they were deeply into DJing. It's now moved from that to, but chat my lyrics hard, I'm this and I'm that. They were chatting that kind of lyrics, and it was new to me. Like, wow, what is this? And they were talking about being on a sound system, and they chat lyrics on sound systems, and I'm like, what is a sound system, And I'm very young. I'm still like I'm about 12 or something. and they were up in their teens, and they had a sound, and there was clashing with each other. They was writing lyrics for the next month when they meet that sound, what they're going to say to that DJ. So there was so much passion, and I was just watching it all. I was too shy to get on that stage at all, that mic. But that was where the whole of the passion came from, to know that this is more than just you write lyrics and you perform in front of people. It's really who you are. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know. So I came into it through that way. It's not, even from my uncles earlier, they weren't doing it for no sound system. They wasn't doing it for any recognition of such. Maybe they wanted that, but it's just what they do. So this is what it became for me. So I started to learn the craft through watching those passionate MCs go at it with each other, and then realizing I have to write to that. Cause my cousin put me in the spot. He said, one day he just held the mic to me.
This is it.
I'm all right, man. I'm all right, you know. So I knew the time was coming, because I started to write little bars. No, not even bars. Those days we don't talk about those things, bars. It was just writing. And I just wrote a few little lyrics, getting ready to perform them quietly in myself, knowing one day I will. And I started to write this pattern. And you know, those days it was just the smallest thing that you do is quite deep. So it's personal to share that with people.
Yeah.
So this is what it was. I grew, just organically growing, and then by the time I was ready to share now, the whole of that sound system culture just went. The whole of the government and whatever, they did what they can to crush it and pull it in its place, so there's not this communication of people expressing how they feel about all these things. You got BBC for that, you know what I'm saying? We don't want you telling us how your people should think, you know? So we had a way of disciplining, not even disciplining, showing principle, showing morals, showing what we support, so showing things that we're not about, showing who we are ancestrally.
Yeah.
And that kind of shut down when they locked off the sound system. Because, I can see why they did. It was very noisy, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I can get that, but it didn't move anywhere. They made it very difficult for people. So me coming forward, ready to step into that light, it shut down. Now you've got a DJ around the turntable. Yeah, so this man, it's just one man around the turntable. It's not the same kind of passion. And then dancehall culture went away from that and went into more stage show. And then at the same time, what you're seeing on the singer's side of thing, it was, you only see that when you're seeing something like a Motown Awards or something. And then there was no representation of the poetry, because you see Benjamin Zephaniah up there every now and then. He would step up and he'll do something. Maybe you would have seen him on a very special occasion, seen him on something likely likened onto a Top of the Pops or something.
Yeah.
And then there was the Linton Kwesi Johnson.
Yeah. And
he would come on and he would just say some revolutionary stuff about things, but I was too young to quite get.
Yeah.
But I loved what he was doing. And then there was the Muta Baruka. There used to be a show that used to come on where they reflected on the Sunsplash, I think it was, that was going on in Jamaica, and him singing like, me want me look pan, they not understand, you know? And then when you hear those kind of dub poetry and you listen to people like Yellowman and the way how they the patterns, you start seeing there's a bigger thing than just one specific niche of way of writing. And I'm being introduced to all of these things organically. So I've got that perspective and this way, and that's kind of what shaped me to become how I am now, all of those influences.
And similar, so I can wholeheartedly, big chest, I can say that you've known and seen me since I was a baby of this scene grow. And I remember, and I mentioned this to Amin as well, I remember sometimes just sitting in the audience and watching you be on the Best Kept Secret. Do you know what I mean? I can do David J. I can reel off these names. And just being like, yo, what do I need to do on this stage? And when I kind of think of my templates, these templates it was phenomenal just to kind of just like see how everyone just performed in their own right. And I'll always go back to a point. I think there was a venue in Herne Hill, and on the lineup that evening, I believe it was you, David J, and I think Amin was on there, whether it was Best Kept Secret, I'm not sure. And I performed, and I was nervous. And I think when I finished my set, all of you were just like, yes, poet. And I was like, yo, this is heavy. I didn't even know how to take that. So I kind of consider, I'm very much aware of, you know, if we're talking generationally, what this looked like, my landscape of that sense, in knowing what I was growing into and in seeing emerging poets now and the in-betweens in terms of how much performance is really honed in. But prior to us even recording, you were like, I was even before some of the names that you was mentioning.
Yeah, well,
so if you don't mind even briefly, to a certain degree, just touching on, if you're talking before that point, I'm really interested as to what breaking into a scene and establishing yourself looked like. Because now poets are being booked left, right, and center.
Yeah.
And when it even comes to like, if you don't mind just speaking on black poets, black British poets, and what that looked like, even prior to the names that I mentioned, because I feel like it's due to these doors opening that I'm even here right now within this whole space of apples and snakes, facilitating this conversation. There are parallels that start off from the points in which you know of that's led to the likes of myself occupying these positions.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and you know, I'm really, man. When I used to start seeing your name going about the place, I was like, wow, he really meant it. You know what I'm saying? Because I remember that conversation we had when you was doing the youth work. It was funny actually, because when you was doing the youth work, you used that tool of having the Haribos to give to the students. If they're doing well, if they do the right thing, here's a Haribo. Oh, can I get one? I was like, what's this going on? It was crazy, man.
That's hilarious.
It was good to see it. It was really good. You had that discipline. You was a young man and you was just there like, and I remember you were saying to me, so you can do this. Like, how do you do this? How do you make a living out? And you know, it's very curious. So it was really, when I started seeing you getting about, I was like, yeah, he's gonna be someone. You know what I'm saying? And you started to do it. And I think it was there was a club down in Brixton, across the road from the police station. I forgot what they call it. Kind of black outside. Plan B, yeah. I think I saw you there hosting, or no, you performed there. You performed there. I said, this man's kind of serious with it though. Like he's got his thing. And it was just appreciation. But I wasn't sure if you was, because you know when people's got a light about them and they're moving forward, sometimes they forget things.
Yeah.
And they start being a little bit arrogant in the way how they move with people and like, yeah, you're right, yeah. And you're like, okay, I wanted to embrace the brother, just, yo, you're cool though, yeah. And how's it going, you know? Sometimes that's what, I'm not saying that was with you,
yeah.
But that's what happens in general. You see changes within beings and how they handle things. So we never had this conversation until now.
Yeah.
But I saw the growth and I was very impressed. And I saw, then I started to see you moving apples and snakes and wow. And then he's hosting this, he was hosting. This is great. But I was wondering, what's going on here? Hold on a minute. These guys are getting the shows and I'm not getting the shows anymore. It started to move a little bit a different way. That's not to take away from the love and the respect that I have for you as the artist, but I started to see how the positioning of how this thing goes. But let's go.
But yeah, and I think that's a really good point because in order to even get into the future of this, it's important for me to understand when this wasn't even a thing. How that became the beginnings of a thing.
Of course, of course. You see, you mentioned those names. Now, I'm not going to say I was before them. That's probably the wrong thing. Because I'm not who was it? Cat Francois, Beyonder, and a few names you meant. Cat Francois and Beyonder, they were there from a long time.
Yeah.
I won't even say it much. They came around the same time as me. Yeah. Same time around, same time. But I was, how did it all start actually? I went to, how do I go into this? All right, so my next door neighbor, he plays saxophone. He has a little groove box with him. He heard me, I played a demo to him about this track that I've got. He's like, wow, hey, you got to come to this night. A night called Soul of Black Folks in Brixton, Cole Harbour Lane. The juice bar, they called it as well, not too far from the Dog Star.
Yeah.
And it's just a small space and books at the back of the shop and a tight space and a couple of tables. Performed, done something there, really hit up the space. They loved it. Came back again next week, more people. Came back again, even more people. It's like, wow, this guy, you got to hear him. Next thing I see all these haters coming along, trying to battle me, you know what I mean? Like, and I just dealt with them very nice and calmly. But when I didn't turn up, I heard that there was loads of people that they were queued up to battle. It was crazy, man. So anyway, what happened is, the love from there I saw was moving. I'm trying to get into it now, but let's just say when I recognized that there was an actual scene, was me doing these little sporadic night, just hit that night there. And I didn't realize I was part of a scene. I didn't realize this was a scene. It was just an event there and an event there. And some of them were very distant from each other. So when did I recognize it was an actual scene? I was at a night, have to hail up this sister because she doesn't get the acknowledgement she deserves, Gemma Weeks. Gemma Weeks is a great writer. I used to know her prior to being on the scene, and I used to go around there and she would share with me her latest story, short stories and little poems that she had, and I was thinking, yeah, but who's going to listen to this though? I mean, I like it, I enjoy it, but where's it? Then she told me there's this scene, and she told me that there was a lot of events, but they've now kind of narrowed down. There's probably three, and one of them's on the way out, so you should come to them and check it out. I said, okay, cool, I'll support you, I'll come down there. I went down there, went to see her, but she wasn't there, and so she wasn't there, but I had done an event prior, and there was a man called Junior Oladi Imiji, or The Image, and he saw me and loved what I'd done at that show there, and he told everybody about me. Now everyone was wondering, he doesn't speak much about anybody, so for him to be speaking highly of me, it was like, who are you? What do you do? I need to hear you. So I'm in Urban Griots, this poetry event in the Dog Star in Brixton, Cole Harbour Lane, and all these poets are wondering, what do I do, and are you sharing? So I went up there, done something, smashed the place. I remember Cat Francois was there. It was really a good night, really a good night, and it just started a buzz from there. Everything, but I started to see everyone who was part of the scene, and at that time, 3+1.
Gosh.
3+1, Beyonder, Nick, Urban Spirit was there.
Who's now Nick McCullough.
Yeah, Nick McCullough, that's the one. All of them, these players were there, and people who were thinking of putting on events as well was there, like Kindred Spirit. We had Marcia Escoffrey, not Michelle Escoffrey, Marcia Escoffrey. They was doing an event on behalf of their sister, who passed away, and as sisters, they all musically inclined, and they said, let's put on this event in honor of her. Asked me if I can be on the first one, and I said, okay, I'll do that. And then there was a brother named Scorpio the Nemesis, rising power to him. He's passed away now. He had an event in the Bug Bar in Brixton called Singers and Poets Night. I ended up hosting that night. Then we had lots of different events going on here and there. But to try and narrow in what the question is, there were small circuits, yeah? Here's a circuit here, here's a circuit there, and there's a circuit there. And all the poets would go from that one to that one to that one. A young man by the name of Fenzwan, I have to raise him up still, very shy in his times, and then he became great at what he done, and he just became this great persona. He was the trooper of the whole of the scene. No one was giving him that kind of props, but he would go everywhere. He knew about events and nights that no one knew about. He would just go West End. There's about 5 places you can go this week, and no one knows about it from the poetry world because they're just in that little circle.
Yeah.
So I would go into this poetry world with him. I mean, this little circuit world. Lots of singers, like great singers that they're backing singers that they just never made it, but they are like, oh, what happened?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and then there's comedy nights. It was just all these little pockets everywhere that was big scenes of their own, and then there's this small little poetry circuit.
Yeah.
So we started to move out. When I moved with Fenzwan into these events, he was more like, yeah, he's great, he's the poet. Amongst all the rest of them, all of the singers. He introduced me, and I became like, wow, hold on a minute, this is something different. So we started to move out, and there were some people in those scenes who were like, I need to expand beyond this place here. I'm being a bit disorientated with the whole circuit where I am. I want to open a night. So they would call me, and they would say, you know what? I love what you do. Can you open this night? So there was a night called Battersea Barge Boat. We used to sing on a boat back in the days. It was a part of the scene. And that was amazing. You perform and you look outside and you see the river up to here on this boat. You're thinking, what?
You don't want to fall in that, boy.
Yeah. So we had all these things. It was just growing. And how we started to merge all of these scenes was just through just really passionately going to all these different events. And the poetry scene themselves, like the ones who you mentioned, they were only in that circuit.
Yeah.
They didn't venture at all. And I think the heights of it was looking up was apples and snakes. If you get on apples and snakes, you're going somewhere. I remember that was what it was. And we was hitting everywhere. Then a night came around. I remember when I knew this was really ordained, this is something that was meant to be for me, was... there was a crew of us, we'd go everywhere. And Scorpio the Nemesis, Casey, Princess Emmanuel, Crystal, Fenzwan, myself, and a few others. And then Gemma Weeks was also there on this particular night. But we heard there was an event going on in Roehampton College, University. We went to Roehampton University, but I weren't sure if I could make it. I didn't have no money.
Yeah.
And I was like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? I have to be there. Come on. I'm walking down the road. I've left my mom's house, and I've walked it's a dark little part. We used to be outside near down my mum's. And I see a £20 note on the floor in the dark. And I'm like, no. And I'm telling you, that was a godsend for me. I picked up this, hey, yo, I phoned these guys, tell them, wait, I'm coming. So I met them up at King's Cross, and we went up to Roehampton, we smashed that. And then that emerged from that communication there was the merging of the spoken word with the comedy nights. Because the DJ who was there, he was a man who ran all these comedy nights. He was Harmony Production, his name's Kenny. And he used to have a night in Butterfly Bar in Streatham. He used to have these nights in Powis Square, the Tabernacle, where he would just have big name comedians, and he didn't really have poets on there. So he called me in, And we merged. We went down to Butterfly Bar, and my little crew went down there. We smashed down there, and it was a bit like poets versus comedians at first. A lot of egos and everything, but it was love at the same time. So all of these things was just building from the singers' nights over there. You know, we got the poets going into that their little circuit. The poets now going into the comedy circuit. The poets now going into the Pan-African circuit. There used to be a little place called oh goodness me, it was in Brixton. It was underneath these arches, and it was like a real cozy front room. You got a little old Cala gas heater, and then everyone's in there talking about Pan-Africanism and where we are today. And not many poets were going to all these places at all, because it was that you have to really have a certain heart to go into those spaces and mindset. So I was going into those spaces, and I was getting a lot of love from there. So the scene was growing. And then before then, you had Pan-Africans asking me to do their Kwanzaa events, and there was big ones, York Hall, Tulse Hill, all around the place. I was the one who was always doing them. So I'm just kind of like letting you know the awareness of where I came from and how I saw the doors opening.
But it's important because, you know, from your lens, pretty much in the same way on my lens, I'm seeing how that, because you know, the amalgamation of the comedy, the singing, the poetry, for me, will be nights like Poetry in Motion, which came however many.
Wow, that's another name there, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? However
and
many years later.
Yeah.
And Poetry in Motion kind of Poetry in Motion was a kind of glamorous kind of like night. Like you're dressing, people are dressing proper.
The American swag. Yeah, man. Oh, what's those brothers' names?
You're dressing kind of cool, like
really,
cool. You're in there, you're having dinner, and then this is what's going to be going on. Yeah. And those memories are really strong, and it's important that we touch on that, or at least that the room is there for you to speak on that from your lens, because I don't know how much room is given or space is given for you, for people to hear. For folks who are very much tapped into back then, to new folks who had no idea of some of the origins from a kind of Black British landscape, as to, because there are many nights now that happen with all of those things in place. But before I kind of move on, it'll be dope to just hear a poem from you. I've not long saw you back on stage, and I felt like I just heard you the other day. And I still feel, and this is the absolute truth, I still feel like I can't do what he does. And I take absolute pride in that, because it still means I'm working towards something. Yeah. And I think I'm at a point where I'm just like, this is I'm brought back to what that urgency, what that love is, what that kind of passion and the control. There are still elements that I look at and I'm just like, yo, yeah, that is that. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, thank you.
So even even as you perform now, I don't think people will really understand the full gravity of what the experience of El Crisis is. But you can give them a little taster.
I will do. But this is great though, you know what I mean? Because what you're doing is great. Because really, we don't have these moments where someone gets to share their experience of the scene. So what you've done is great. Like what you're doing, really, salute to you. Because you've you know what I mean? That passion that you say you ain't finding, like you haven't reached in, let's say, what I do in the state. You've got it in so many other areas. Look for the position you're in now, where you're able to share with and learn and, you know, take heed from all of these different
What, you think people. I'm trying to reach your tones that you reached the other day? You're mad. What? No, you can have that. I will do my version of that, but still, that can still hold a template as to what it is, and that's absolutely fine. I don't think, I'm not here to be jack of all trades. I think there's ways and there's room to appreciate and acknowledge and know what you can work towards and do the best you can of that.
Yes.
But people can hold their place how they hold their place, which I'm sure if there's room we can touch into that. But over to you, man.
All right, so I'm gonna share with you Free Man, yeah? If that's all right.
Yeah, man, do your thing.
So, yeah, I'll share Free Man, because that really... All right, so... Before I go into it, just a little bit of background into Free Man. Free Man was something that on the scene, it became like an anthem. That no one could sing. It was like, I like that one when you do that. That you made that sound, you do that. Well, I can see all these images in my head when you do it. And I'm like, give me something tangible so I can say which one you mean. But I was playing with them. Yeah. But the thing is, it was one of those that became quite well known on the scene. And I shared it in many events. And up to now, it's still with me. So it introduced me.
And before you get into it, there was a point where you performed this live. That sort of people who have heard Free Man before, it brought them back to a point in time nostalgically, and they were doing their thing with you on stage, and I was looking at the folks who've never heard it before, and they were just enamored in everything that they were experiencing as well. So it's still there, man. It's a mesh of these worlds. But anyway,
all right, let's go into it. Enough talking. I couldn't find my tone yesterday. Let me try it. I talk from the heart like dog, them a bark and I pass them remark. They mind and a heart full of demon talk, so from them I depart. Hey, of the truth me a talk, some man a talk, but them a dog a heart. Their mind is cold like an iceberg and their teeth is a razor sharp. Hey, judge not for the wrongs I've done, neither for the things I talk. My car is a modern day chariot, my guitar is a broken harp. Hey, see them a laugh when me back turn, them a talk, but me a skylark until they know what's right from wrong. We're 1,000 miles apart. Hey, I'm living in a concrete jungle, everywhere so dark, so I'm in tune with nature. Every day I walk the park. Hey, I see the birds and the bees full the breeze to the trees. No Hades talk. My hair is off the branches and my skin is off the bark. Hey, are you in tune with nature when night turns dark? Sometimes I light a candle and feel a vibration from my heart. Hey, I feel this fire burning from my heart as a voice cries out in the wilderness and an angel plays a harp. Many man and woman, they don't love my song about God kingdom. They always seeking wickedness because them a demon. They will always plan to do something wrong. Them a Satan son like a lamb to a slaughter. Send them come. Girl, you have some man that will put you in a temptation. They will promise you things where your man can't give you. Tell them to move on. Man, you have some girl will live a life of confusion, sleeping with so many different men and bring confrontation. I'm an innocent man in a world of temptation, like I was done with the mental slavery. I'm a free man, far away from the moon and sun. There's a place where you call London. It's a part of the earth where I come from, but not where I belong. Hey, big planes pollute the skies and cloud me away from the sun. No matter what they do or try, we shall overcome. That's me kind of short there, so.
Thank you, first and foremost.
That's welcome.
Should we talk about performance? What does that mean to you? And just for context, when Cat Francois introduced you on the first Jaw Dance event of the year, which was Team Cat versus Team Yomi, and congratulations, Cat Francois, and to Team Cat. Upon the introduction, you didn't walk straight to the stage. Your performance started off stage, and you walked on stage, fully immersing the audience with you. So when it comes to performance, where does that sit with you now? Like knowing you've been doing this for so long, that I can still see you do your thing, and it felt like the first time I've seen you perform. So where does that sit with you now in terms of performance? And what craft do you put in?
Craft I put it. Okay, so with me, when I'm in that audience, I might have an idea from home. I do need to get a picture. I need to get an idea of what I'm looking at, so I can know where and how I can flow, what the dynamics of the room's going to be, So you don't really know that for sure until you're there. So while I was there, an idea just came to me, and I had to run it by Iman as well. It's like, what? Could I start from in the crowd? And how would it work with the feedback? Would it start feeding back? I don't want to go in there and next thing it's like beep, beep. So let me think about this. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start from the crowd, no mic. I walk down this path here. I can see how I can engage with the crowd, this side, that side, and that would be nice. No, because if I do that, how am I going to get on the stage? So I start thinking all these ways. It might inhibit the performance. It might enhance, So I thought about going to the side. I said, yeah, but this crowd are quite calm. I'm not sure how they're going to take it. I might do my thing and they might not quite engage with it. So let me build up the energy. And that's something that you naturally have to do.
Yeah.
You have to know what you're pulsating. So you kind of conjure up that energy to know, crowd, we're one.
Yeah.
Now, this is how it's going to work if we're one. Yeah. Everyone has to be a part of it. Now, this goes back to the griots, this goes back to the ancients, this goes back to our ancestors, this goes back to how we used to do things where call and response is just part of what it is. So I just knew I needed to start with that kind of energy to make sure we get that impact. So every performance, I call it sharing, but it's for the sake of it. Every performance is going to be different based on how you read the room, how you what the piece that you're going to do. Are they going to be ready for something that's that fast like that? Are they going to be ready for that one? And sometimes spontaneity has to be there, because I didn't know I was going to do the car one yesterday. I was thinking everything else apart from that. I got 3 pieces I might do. Then as I was there, I thought, you know what? I saw that sister in the crowd and she remembers the car piece.
Yeah.
Let me relate to her, because I could see she's feeling this as well. And you know what? Yeah, I remember I tried to do that. So so you have to allow for yourself to be in the moment. You might seem like a little madman. You're up there and you're thinking, yeah, let me do this, let me do that.
Yeah.
But you have to in order for that to work.
And if we was to go back to Freeman a bit, because what I love about this season is the opportunity for poets to talk about their particular poem that they're presenting. Because there might be some things that you just don't understand about this poem that I just need to break down to you lot. And in relation to Freeman, everybody might just be hearing this kind of vocal ability, what that you're doing. But there's words in there. There are key things that you're saying in there. And if there was an opportunity to talk about Freeman, what would you like to share for people who've even heard it, however long? To the new folks that are hearing it now, like these gems that are in this piece that you don't really realize that I'm writing about or saying. So the floor is yours with this one in relation to this poem.
Okay. Freeman is something that came very much intuitively. I moved into a new space, room pretty much bare, looking out, seeing my garden and saying, nice vibes. I had a lyric that came to me that I was trying to put words to. Then this came, and I was actually a bit frightened of it because I'm using a sound that I never usually would use before. I'm here, I'm doing this, I can hear that in my mind. Like, I can hear that coming through. And I'm thinking, no, that's not cool, man. Like, no one ain't gonna really get with that. I'm gonna need an instrument for that. What's the instrument that does that sound? It's not a harp, but I'm saying it's up. So basically, soul to mind, right? Soul to mind is what it is. Your soul expressing freely through you. Your mind being the organizer to make sure that words kind of, you in sync with what your soul is sharing.
Yeah.
So it's a very soulful experience, and just the things that I was in tune with at that moment in time were coming through. The things that I contemplate through mind was being allowed to come through. So that's how I see it. Soul is an energy that allows for you to express its truth in its purity, in its authentic self. And the mind of the being is what's allowing for you to put these pieces together. Like if you're just doing it off on your mind, you're just pretty much just trying to orchestrate something that there's no substance in it. You're not going to quite get it. You have to have that soul element because that's who you are, the essence of your being.
Yeah.
So when you're hearing me expressing words such as, I talk from the heart like dog them a bark and I pass them remark. It sounds like a rhyme, but it's true though. I'm talking from the heart. But like dog them a bark, you can say like within the different scenes I was going to, the different groups I was around, they just understood what blood, and I passed them remark. Or you can see it on the context of some people were kind of like, they are pretty much like doubters and whatever, or people who just got negative to say, or just people just spit but they're not saying anything.
Yeah.
So I talk from the heart like dog them a bark, and I pass them remark. Their mind and heart full of demon talk, so from them I depart. So I'm not on that level of awareness with you. You know what I mean? Other truth me I talk, some man I talk about them a dog art. Their mind is cold like an iceberg and their teeth is razor sharp. Judging not for the wrongs I've done, neither for the things I talk. My car is a modern day chariot, my guitar is a broken harp. So there's words of poetry coming through, I speak about my hair being of the branches, my skin of the bark. This is a time where spiritually, I would always go to the park and I would hold a meditation.
Yeah.
And I would feel the natural vibration of what that environment was and seeing myself as one with that. So there's no difference between me and that tree, It's a soul. The same way how they have a spirit, I have a spirit. It's just mine is moving in a certain way. So yeah, it's these... these things that you find, you express through your own self-awareness. And, but it goes deeper into different areas. Like, I'm telling the girls them a certain principle and moral. And the man them, girl, you have some man that will put you in a temptation. They will promise you things that your man can't give you. Tell them to move on. So there's morals. And, man, you have some girl who live a life of confusion, sleeping with so many different men and bring confrontation. So these things have to be acknowledged, like where did they start from, But if you're expressing from your soul, expressing from that place which is true, which is pure, which is empathic, which is, of principle, this is where you'll find the authenticity coming through. I'm not sure what more.
No, I appreciate it. And I think, some things that you're raising, not only in Freeman, but I think in the course of our conversation, there's a big thing around sustainability in this art form. Like, how do you persevere and keep on? How to ensure that your name is remembered, that you can still get the bookings, that you still be appreciated or acknowledged. And I think that's why, for me, it's a special thing to hold space. Yes, there's the collective in terms of the scene, but then there's you. And you, for the purpose of this discussion, are the priority. And in keeping with that energy, the part of this season is pretty much, okay, cool, there's a poem from you. But also, with the guest, they decide a poet to look at, and then we kind of look into it and we discuss what that is. And on your side, it was more of a different feel where it wasn't necessarily something that spiritually kind of felt, actually, no, this isn't something I want to necessarily align with as such. Because there's a different discussion at play in which I would like to also explore with you in the idea of celebration, appreciation, and reciprocity. Dare I say?
Yes.
And it's the idea of it's the idea that you give and you give and you can give with the hope that the reciprocity is there and
reciprocated in some way.
And in what you give, in some way, you will receive back within a scene that everybody shares. It's meant to be like an equal space. Without getting too deep, because we can get really deep on this matter. But at the same time, I felt like it was something that we shouldn't necessarily ignore.
Yeah.
Because I feel like each to their own, we will all grow in whatever the scene is. Whether you do music, whether you're acting, you know, however many acceptance speeches have I seen, whether it's an Oscar or whatever it is, where the actor's like, I've been doing this for a long time. This is the first award I've received.
Yeah.
This is the first time I felt seen in something that I've given so much of myself in.
Yeah. I definitely identify with that.
You see what I mean? And we find that some of our greats that we've seen on screen over X amount of years, they're finally getting their first award or acknowledgement in what we're saying is 2025 or the latter part of 2024. Is this a feeling, like you said, you identify with it, but also how, when it comes to sustaining, how have you grown through it without necessarily allowing a type of, I don't want to say bitterness, but a resistance type, letting it eat you whole? You see what I mean? Like,
Of course.
Would you mind just touching on that a bit, you know?
I did a lot to open different doors, okay? So, as I said, poetry, comedy, Pan-African. I saw this expanding. I saw doors opening. People wanted new events. People just wanted to put on an event because what you did there, if that's poetry, bring your poet friends, you know? And every week, you know, this was kind of emerging. It was happening. So it was expanding. And a lot of people will be like, oh, crisis, no, you know? And, you know, it's not that I needed that. It's not that I wanted that, but it's just a respectful thing. You know, people are seeing, they're seeing the inspiration and whatever. And I acknowledge them and big them up for what they're doing. And as you said, Slambassadors, I was doing work with them and bringing young generations through to do certain things. So anyway, my point is that a time came and everyone would say I was the top or I was, I'm up there. A time came when an opportunity was there for everyone to list any poet, anyone from the scene that they can acknowledge, remember. And I was thinking, no, that don't even sit right.
Yeah.
You're sitting down with me and I'm telling you about how this thing run. I'm telling you about apples and snakes. I'm telling you about that event. I'm telling you about that one day. I'm showing you with your invoices. I'm showing you how to do this. You can't remember me when the cameras are rolling? But anyway, going back to what you're saying in terms of legacy, if it wasn't for that one being to mention me, my name would have been written out of his legacy. Yeah. So that made me look at certain people and I look at how everything was playing out and I said, there's no loyalty here. Apples and snakes aren't booking me. That charity aren't booking me. These people, what's going on here? It seemed very much like as if everyone was trying to deny my legacy.
And for me, it's important to hold this space because whether it's people from the past who dibble and dabble or they're not involved in poetry at all, current poets who are kind of thriving in what they're doing or emerging are kind of looking up to this in terms of what this looks like. Your example is such that I think it's a shared feeling cross-board of different sets of people as to where they might feel they've contributed but not necessarily felt acknowledged. Do you see what I mean? So as much as it is to kind of watch you kind of still process that to be like, I played a pivotal role in this and this was the reception to it. And if it wasn't for this person, I probably would have been raised in the kind of like, if we're talking the literature of this, I need to understand that. And it's important for people to also acknowledge that, to be like, okay, cool, who am I not acknowledging that's grown with me that I need to be speaking more of? Because the worst thing that could happen potentially is history to some degree repeating itself, which I feel oddly to some degree it does. Sometimes I go through feelings where I'm just like, I don't actually know if people acknowledge whatever my contributions might be. And then sometimes I also make peace with being like, okay, maybe they might just not. And then how do I respond to what that is? Yeah. So I'm glad that there was room for you to speak on that, because I don't know if there's been room on this kind of scale.
There hasn't. So that's why I came out. I don't know how this is gonna. We might have to do a bit of editing here and there. Yeah?
No, I don't know if there's been scales where, and it's good to kind of hold that sense in the space.
Yeah, no,
what I will ask in a quick fire bit.
Yeah.
Before I round up, it's just two questions. Really quick, you have to think to it because you've done so much.
Yeah. But you know what? Before you just hold that.
Go on.
The point of why I said all of that is because that's my reason for not speaking about the scene as such. That ego side of myself now said, look after yourself, man. And you shouldn't be going out there and doing this and doing all of that. You should focus on you, blah, blah, blah. And you know what? Ego is something which is like, you can take it as a good thing and a bad thing, depending on where you are. Don't be giving everybody that. Focus on what you need to do right now. That's what you need to do. But he'll say a little bit more harsher. He'll talk about, look what they did. They didn't do that. They didn't do that. So that's probably how it's coming across at the moment.
And sticking with yourself, super quick, a moment that you're proud of. And it's quick. It's
okay.
Like a moment that you're proud of.
I did 8 workshops speaking on refugee awareness called In Our Shoes, right? In the refugee awareness, where I had to go to 8 different schools on my own, getting all of them to write the awareness of a refugee and what that would be like. How would it be to leave from your home and go to another place? Amnesty International came in and gave them the bigger scope and the more information. I came and led the workshops. Anyway, they've come around, they've performed to their school now. So it's gone from a classroom to a school, their school. Now they're going to perform as 8 different schools together, performing to each other. And it was just amazing. Moving from there, Poetry Society came along and they said, we've got this Respect Festival and we've got this Rise Festival. Will we be able to take some of those artists from there and put them into this Respect Festival? And then the journey continuing from there. But it was really from the workshop for myself and just seeing the passion that these writers, these young, brilliant performers, where I met yourself along that journey, just seeing what that is, you know.
What are you currently listening to or reading?
Currently listening to myself. I'm listening to myself. What am I listening to, really? I'm doing so much work, so much creative work at the moment.
Yeah. I think for me, it's, I'm reminded again how important it is to stand in one's truth and honesty. How important it is to be very transparent in just where one is at. Do you see what I mean? And I think there's been a scope in this conversation where it's a full circle for me in that kind of one nostalgic feel, but also to be present in something that I was really curious about in speaking to you about. And also for you in speaking on what that experience has been for you over the years up until now to a point of this. And I do hope that you, to some degree, feel as seen as I saw at that point in time as well. And I just want to thank you again just for that time and for that patience. And also for the eyes as well, because it was quite arm's length in a sense of, I'm not going to be in this guy's face too tough. I just hope it's not in the route that I don't want it to be in, and I'm glad that you even mentioned that because it wasn't even something I knew.
Big up for you, man. Big up to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Most welcome, brother.
That's it. Thank you for engaging and tuning in to this episode of Apples and Snakes, the podcast hosted by me, Yomi Shode. If you like what you're hearing, what you're seeing, please make sure you subscribe via the DSPs, Spotify, Apple. Make sure you tune in on us on YouTube and subscribe. Stay. We've got plenty more stories to go. We don't want to lose you just yet. Big love.